supernatural occurrences. The Cecil Hotel had always been a place of darkness and death, but there was something else lurking in its halls, something far more terrifying than any serial killer or unsolved mystery. Guests who stayed at the hotel reported strange occurrences, from unexplained noises and flickering lights to ghostly apparitions and the feeling of being watched. Some even claimed to have been attacked by malevolent spirits during their stay, leaving them shaken and terrified. One guest, a young woman named Samantha, had checked into the hotel for a weekend getaway. She was looking forward to exploring the city and enjoying some time alone, but as soon as she stepped into her room, she felt a sense of unease. The air felt heavy, as if someone was watching her every move. As the night wore on, Samantha began to hear strange noises coming from the hallway. She tried to ignore them, chalking them up to her imagination, but as the noises grew louder and more persistent, she realized that something was wrong. She got out of bed and opened the door, peering out into the darkness. What she saw next would haunt her for the rest of her life. A figure dressed in ragged clothing and covered in filth was lurking in the shadows. Its eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, and its skin was a sickly shade of green. Samantha tried to scream, but no sound came out. The figure began to move toward her, its hands stretched, as if it wanted to grab her and pull her into the darkness. Samantha slammed the door shut and backed away, her heart pounding in her chest. She knew that she had to leave the hotel, that she couldn't stay there another minute. She grabbed her bag and ran down the hallway, not looking back until she had reached the safety of the street. From that day on, Samantha refused to speak of her experience at the Cecil Hotel. But others who had stayed there had similar stories to tell of ghostly apparitions, demonic possession, and the feeling of being trapped in a nightmare from which there was no escape. And as the years went on, the hotel's dark history continued to grow, its walls becoming a prison for the lost and the forgotten. The spirits of the past lingered there, whispering their secrets to anyone who dared to listen, their voices echoing through the corridors like the howling of a lost soul. Some guests claimed to have been physically attacked by unseen forces, leaving them with scratches and bruises that they couldn't explain. Others reported waking up in the middle of the night to find the room filled with an icy chill, even when the air conditioning wasn't running. But perhaps the most disturbing reports were of guests who disappeared without a trace, their rooms left untouched and their belongings untouched. No one knew what had become of them, but many suspected that they had fallen victim to the hotel's dark secrets. The staff at the Cecil Hotel tried to downplay the reports of supernatural activity, but it was clear that something was not right. Guests who checked in never seemed to leave, becoming trapped in the hotel's twisted web of evil. It was as if the hotel itself was alive, a malevolent entity that fed on the misery and despair of its guests. And as long as the Cecil Hotel stood, its dark legacy would continue, drawing in unsuspecting victims and swallowing them whole. The legend of the Cecil Hotel had taken on a life of its own, a story of horror and despair that held through the ages. Those who dared to enter its walls did so at their peril, risking not only their lives but their very souls. For the Cecil Hotel was not just a building, it was a portal to the other side, a gateway to the darkest depths of the human psyche, and once you entered, there was no turning back. The Black Dahlia Connection. In the dead of night, the ghostly figure of a woman in a black dress can be seen wandering the halls of the Cecil Hotel. Her face is obscured by the shadows, but her eyes are said to glow a sinister red. Many believe that this spectral presence is none other than Elizabeth Short, also known as the Black Dahlia. Legend has it that Short stayed at the Cecil Hotel in the days leading up to her brutal murder in 1947. Some say that Short's restless spirit haunts the hotel to this day, searching for her killer and seeking justice for her untimely death. Others believe that the hotel itself is cursed, a magnet for darkness and despair. Those brave enough to stay at the Cecil Hotel are warned to beware of the Black Dahlia's ghostly presence for those who cross her path. There is no telling what horrors they may encounter. Rumors and stories have spread about strange occurrences happening in the hotel. Some guests have reported seeing apparitions in their rooms, feeling sudden drops in temperature, or hearing disembodied voices whispering in their ears. Many of the hotel staff also report feeling a sense of unease or fear when walking alone at night. Some have even claimed to have seen the ghostly figure of Elizabeth Short wandering the halls, her eyes fixed on them with a malevolent glare. Despite attempts to cleanse the hotel of its dark history, the rumors and legends persist. Some say that the hotel itself is cursed, and that those who stay there are doomed to suffer the same fate as those who came before them. But even with all the rumors and legends, the true nature of the Black Dahlia's connection to the Cecil Hotel remains a mystery. Was she truly a guest there in the days before her death? Or is her connection nothing more than a product of the hotel's dark history and proximity to her murder? Perhaps we will never know the truth, and the legend of the Black Dahlia and the cursed Cecil Hotel will continue to haunt the dreams of those who dare to listen. The serial killer's playground. Deep in the heart of downtown Los Angeles, the Cecil Hotel stands as a beacon of darkness and despair. Its walls have borne witness to some of the most heinous crimes in history, and its corridors echo with the restless spirits of the dead. In the 1980s, the hotel was home to one of the most notorious serial killers in American history. Richard Ramirez, also known as the Night Stalker, used the hotel as a base of operations during his killing spree. Guests would awaken in the middle of the night to find Ramirez standing at the foot of their bed, his eyes glowing with the light of the devil. But Ramirez was not the only monster to call the Cecil Hotel home. Austrian serial killer Jack Unterweger also stayed at the hotel while he was committing murders in Los Angeles. His victims, like those of Ramirez, were found brutally murdered in the dark alleys and abandoned buildings that surrounded the hotel. As the body count continued to rise, the hotel became known as a haven for killers and psychopaths. Its reputation was tarnished forever, and no amount of scrubbing could cleanse the bloodstains from its floors. Today, the hotel stands empty, a shadow of its former self. Its halls are silent, but the memories of the horrors that occurred there continue to haunt the dreams of those who dare to enter. Some say that the ghosts of Ramirez and Unterweger still linger in the dark corners of the hotel, waiting for their next victims to arrive. For those who believe in the darkness that pervades the Cecil Hotel, there can be no doubt that it is a place of evil, a playground for the most malevolent of killers. And as the night falls and the shadows grow longer, the ghosts of the hotel's past continue to whisper their sinister secrets to anyone who will listen. Despite attempts to renovate and rebrand the hotel, the darkness that has taken root there refuses to be exorcised. Visitors have reported strange occurrences, such as flickering lights, cold spots, and even the feeling of being watched by unseen eyes. The few brave souls who have dared to spend the night at the hotel have reported being visited by the ghosts of Ramirez and Unterweger. They say that the air around them grew thick and heavy, and that they could feel the presence of pure evil in the room. For those who believe in the power of the supernatural, the Cecil Hotel remains a place of great danger. They warn that anyone who enters the hotel risks being consumed by the darkness that has taken root there, and that the ghosts of the killers who once prowled its halls still thirst for blood. But there are those who are drawn to the hotel's dark energy, who seek to unlock the secrets of its haunted past. They come armed with cameras and recorders, hoping to capture proof of the paranormal activity that has been reported there for decades. Whether the hotel is truly cursed or merely the victim of its own notorious history, one thing is certain. The Cecil Hotel will forever be known as a place of darkness and death, a playground for the most malevolent of killers. And for those who dare to enter its walls, there can be no turning back. The unexplained death of Elisa Lam. The Cecil Hotel had always been a place of darkness and death, but the events of 2013 would prove to be among its most macabre. Canadian tourist Elisa Lam had checked into the hotel on January 26, 2013, but her stay would end in tragedy just a few weeks later. On February 19th, hotel guests began to complain about low water pressure and strange smells coming from the taps. The hotel maintenance team went to investigate, and what they found would shock them to their core. Elisa Lam's body was floating in one of the hotel's water tanks, naked and bloated, her arms and legs splayed out like a spider. The circumstances surrounding Lam's death were puzzling, to say the least. The water tank was located on the roof of the hotel, accessible only by a locked door and a steep ladder. How had Lam managed to get up there? And why had she removed her clothes before climbing in? Rumors began to circulate about foul play, and many hotel guests and staff members reported strange occurrences in the days leading up to Lam's disappearance. Some claimed to have seen her behaving erratically in the hotel's elevator, pressing buttons at random and peeking out of the doors, as if afraid of something. As the investigation into Lam's death continued, it became clear that something sinister was at work in the Cecil Hotel. Guests reported hearing unexplained noises and seeing ghostly apparitions in the hallways, and some even claimed to have seen Lamb's ghost wandering the hotel grounds. Theories about what had happened to Elisa Lam run the gamut from the plausible to the clannish. Some believed that she had been murdered by a hotel employee or guest, while others speculated that she had been the victim of a cult or even supernatural forces. But the truth of what really happened to Elisa Lam may never be known. The Cecil Hotel continues to stand as a monument to the city's dark past, a place of unspeakable horrors and unexplained mysteries. And for those brave enough to enter its doors, the ghosts of the hotel's past continue to whisper their secrets into the darkness, their voices echoing through the corridors like the creaking of old bones. 4 years after Elisa Lam's death, the Cecil Hotel remained a source of fascination for true crime enthusiasts and paranormal investigators alike. People from all over the world flocked to the hotel, hoping to catch a glimpse of Lam's ghost or uncover new clues about her mysterious death. But as time passed, the hotel began to crumble under the weight of its own dark history. The once glamorous establishment became a haven for drug addicts and the homeless, a place where the forgotten and the lost came to hide from the world. And yet, even as the hotel fell into disrepair, the ghost of its past remained. Visitors reported seeing strange apparitions in the hallways, hearing ghostly footsteps in the empty rooms, and feeling the cold touch of unseen hands on their skin. Some claimed that the hotel was cursed, that the spirits of the victims who had died within its walls still haunted the building, seeking revenge on the living. Others believed that the hotel was a portal to another dimension, a place where the lines between the living and the dead blurred, and anything was possible. In the end, the truth of what happened at the Cecil Hotel may never be fully known, but for those who dare to explore its haunted halls, the mysteries of the past continue to beckon, their whispers echoing through the darkness like the promises of a long-forgotten dream.